Hey guys, it's Teletubby Terror here, and welcome to a video review of Orion Prelude Dino Horde. In this video, I'm going to tell you some of the good things and bad things that you'll encounter during your playthrough. So without further ado, let's get it started. To get this out of the way real quick, I'm just going to mention that this game reminds me a lot of Call of Duty Zombies. It's a multiplayer co-op shooter against foes that get increasingly difficult, while all the time you get money which you can use to buy perks and guns, and many other things in your quest to survive as long as you can. If you've ever played COD Zombies, you're going to feel right at home. After all, there are only a few large things differing the two games, one of them obviously being that you're fighting against dinosaurs instead of zombies. This is obviously the game's biggest appeal, since I don't really know many other games that have you fighting against dinosaurs, and even fighting as the dinosaurs. That's right, in one game mode you can actually play as the dinosaurs. Though, this isn't actually as cool as I wanted it to be, just because the controls are so terrible. I couldn't tell when I was attacking or just roaring. And furthermore, there's no instructions or anything. There's only one single game mode. One game mode that you're just thrust into without any controls or tips or anything like that. And the game mode itself, the one you can play as the dinosaurs, it's not really that fun. You'd think there'd be a lot of strategy and teamwork, but the UI is set up in a way that makes it hard to tell who's friend and foe, and really just detracts from the gameplay more than adding to it. At least I can say they have it, but if there was one thing I would say to improve first, it would be the way you can play dinosaurs. But on to the game's main focus, multiplayer / co-op against dinosaurs. And from what I can tell you so far, they actually did a pretty good job. They have it set up so that there's 3 classes that you can play as: Assault, Support, and Recon, each of them having different special abilities. The Assault has a jetpack, the Support can heal people, and the Recon has a cloaking device. For the most part, these are all pretty balanced, but I found myself not using Recon as much as the other 2 classes. For me, the ability to get anywhere on the map, or to basically have infinite amount of life, just both beat the ability to go invisible for a few seconds. There are class-specific weapons though, but I didn't really find myself using them that often just because they cost a crazy amount of money. I hardly ever found myself surviving long enough to use any of them. And furthermore, I kind of preferred the Assault and Support's power weapons over the Recon's weapons anyway, which is just another reason why to not play as a Recon. The gameplay itself though is really fun, especially if you're playing with a friend. The game mode I found myself playing most was Survival, consisting of an endless onslaught of bigger and bigger dinos. But there is a game mode just like it called Conquest, I believe, which consists of you having to capture bases while you're being chased by huge dinosaurs. This is also a very fun game mode, and this is where you're probably going to find most of the vehicles in the game. Now, I can tell the developers have probably been playing a lot of Halo before doing this, because most of the vehicles in the game remind me a ton of vehicles from Halo, and that is not a bad thing at all. I always wanted an open world game where me and my buddy could ride around in a Warthog and just shoot everything. Who wouldn't want that? And I am glad to say that it is some really refreshing gameplay to be driving around with a friend, running away from something that is 3 times your size, with the ability to knock you over in a single hit. There are some great opportunities to have fun in this game, especially since the developers don't take themselves too seriously. This is very easily noticeable with the costume selection. When you first start the game, you're given a number of customization points that can be used for anything from colors to hats. The hats that you can choose from are just ridiculous. They have things ranging everywhere from Triceratops hats to George Washington helmets, which, in my opinion, is actually a really good way to add variety. Sadly though, it doesn't add replayability value as you have to buy these points with real money, but it's still a cool feature that I'm happy they added in. As for the player versus player part of the game, I didn't really like that because the classes they have just aren't centered around playing against other human players. It's not balanced at all. Most players are going to play as Assault, which means that there's no limits anywhere on the map. And since all classes have access to pretty much the same weapons, it's just a clear-cut advantage to play as the Assault. And while I'm on negative things, one of the biggest gripes I have about this game is that you can't choose the accessories you put on your gun. Everything you buy comes with a default sight and attachment that there's no way to change. This is done to contribute to the looks of the gun, but while sometimes they can be useful, sometimes they're just terrible, and With there being no way to change them, it almost renders that gun useless, because I can use something that has a much better sight and does practically the same amount of damage, as most of the guns in this game are very alike. But overall, I had a blast playing Orion Prelude. And granted that I played with a friend almost the entire time, I think I would definitely come back and play some good old Dino Survival that Battlefield 4 never had. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you can think of anything that I forgot to mention, feel free to leave it down in the comments, along with a rate and a subscribe. But other than that, this is Teletubby Terror, and I'll see you next time.